So, a couple of days ago, I read two words that I never thought I'd see together: Lupin and Isekai. The news first broke to English Lupin fans on Twitter from an account named Manga Moguda RE. The tweet opens with, "Lupin the Third by Monkey Punch will get a Isekai manga." We also learned that the new Lupin manga will be published as part of the weekly Shonen Champion magazine. And now we have a cover page for this magazine, and I don't think anyone would fake this, so it is probably real. The only thing is that I can't actually find any Japanese sources on these things, but that's because I'm not Japanese, so I'm not really good at searching the web in Japanese. But that's not the important part. The important part is that it's being called an isekai. I was about to say anime. An isekai manga. The title of this new manga is called Lupin Sansei Isekai no Himegimi. People have translated this title to Lupin the Third Neighbor World Princess. I'm not a Japanese master, but I'm pretty familiar with all the words in that title. Lupin Sansei just being Lupin the Third, Isekai being another world or a parallel universe, something like that, like, you know, the Isekai genre, so it's not a neighbor world, and Himegimi being pretty much princess. So the title should just be Lupin the Third, Another World's Princess, or Another World Princess, depending if you think you need the apostrophe S there or not. But the big discussion about this is whether this is an isekai manga or not. Because while the word isekai is in the title, that doesn't necessarily mean it's an isekai manga. I mean, Lupin the Third the First isn't the first Lupin thing ever, so you can't always be trusting those subtitles. The biggest thing for me is that I can't really see a Lupin the Third story being an isekai. The closest thing would be Lupin the Third Elusiveness of the Fog, where they get trapped in the past. If this does end up to be a story where Lupin and the gang get trapped in another world, I'm sure that they would find a way to deviate from, you know, your typical isekai tropes, like being set in a generic medieval fantasy world. That being said, the fact that a princess is involved is probably a hint to the other world being a generic medieval fantasy world. But the opposite could also happen, and the princess could come to Lupin's world. But I feel like that wouldn't be much of an interesting story unless there was some evil organization that could travel between worlds freely, I guess? Maybe there's an evil organization trying to take over the other world, or trying to kidnap the princess from the other world, and, I don't know, doing some crazy dimensional shifts. I know that Lupin the Third isn't a stranger to sci-fi, nor is it a stranger to fantasy either, but an isekai seems to be like taking it to the next level, you know? But you know what? Maybe you could end up with like a situation like In Another World with My Smartphone, but it's Lupin, so it's actually good. Like, Another World with My Smartphone seems to be just a gimmick. Like, just toss in a smartphone into another world. It's pretty much the gimmick. It's dumb and simple and baby. But with Lupin, you actually have a whole bunch of characters who embody a bunch of modern tropes, and you toss that into the medieval fantasy setting, and that could be a really cool contrast. Not only that, but bring in an evil organization that can travel between worlds, and then you've got a large cast of characters bringing in a bunch of modern elements into a medieval world. And that's just a lot more engaging and interesting than watching a guy run around with a smartphone and picking up girls because they've never seen electronic technology before. But yeah, we only have a title for this thing, so there's not much to discuss. It's all just speculation. We also have the cover page, which I did show you before, but as you can see, there's only Lupin on it. There's no plot elements or anything like that, and I can't translate the Japanese writing, so we'll just leave it at that. But if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more like this, then subscribe. And please watch the video where I complain about Godzilla vs. Kong, because it has 2 dislikes and they make me sad.